Meditate. Let's do this. So this interview is about learning a foreign language. I'm with Jeff today, and he is. Why don't you just introduce yourself?
I guess Jeff Kapling's here. Not really.
Who's Jeff Kaplan?
Was the overseer of Overwatch. Okay, yeah, he's called Jeff Kapling. Regardless, name is Jeff. Major is chemistry in general option. I've been here for 4 years. Yeah, I have a bunch of friends who speaks English.
I'm gonna cut that off. So the first thing we're gonna do is to use this yes or no sign to just answer a set of quick questions.
Sure.
You ready?
Yes.
Right. Have you ever had to learn a foreign language? Can your parents speak fluently in this language? Do you find it difficult? Sort of.
Sort of.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
Do you talk to them in this language? Did you learn this language mostly by yourself? Was there a teacher who helped you greatly in learning this language? Do you read books leisurely in this language? Do you have a detectable accent in this language?
I would say so.
Do people say that to you?
Yeah, of course. My friends have a pretty obvious Chinese accent.
Alright. Cool, okay. So you did mention that you had to learn a foreign language.
Yeah.
And that language is?
English, of course.
English. Okay. When did you start it?
Super young. Like elementary school.
Elementary school. Like 7 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. And you did mention that you learn mostly by yourself.
Kind of. Well, not really. It's like a teacher provide a bunch of stuff. You gotta read them by yourself, I guess.
Another time we talk in Chinese.
Yeah.
And am I freaking you out because I'm speaking English right now?
No, it just feels weird. It's not in the Euro setup. That's why.
Okay. Do you find it awkward? Like, for example, in class, there's always like foreign students.
Oh, not really. Under that kind of circumstances.
Okay. So what if like your friend go to the same class with you, and let's say she had a really strong accent. When she starts speaking in class, would you feel weirded out?
Well, actually, I have a friend like that. Sometimes, especially when the accent is so strong that it's like it hinders other students from understand what she was trying to say. That's a little bit awkward, I would say. But
Even for you.
yes.
Okay. So, but if we notice there's other students from another country and they have different accents, would that accent freak you out?
Not really.
Not really.
Not
I
really.
feel the same way. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, because it's more like I can understand I can feel his accent, and in that because of this, I feel like I can communicate with this person better with our native language naturally. It's just then the feeling is why you don't do that, even if I totally understand he cannot because it's apparently English under English environment, but still it's like that kind of
Feeling bad.
yeah,
kind of.
it's in your subconsciousness.
It's just like
You cannot get rid of it. You just cannot.
So we have 3 scenarios here.
Mm-hmm.
For the first one is Amy. Amy is 3 years old, and she goes to the daycare center, but her family speaks Mandarin to her at home. But the daycare center, they speak English. For the first week, she only responds with like yes or no. Like, do you want to go pee? Are you hungry? Are you cold? She'd go like yes or no. Or if she doesn't understand the sentence, she wouldn't even like talk to them. And let's see. Sting is a high school student who has to take German classes every day. This is his second year in learning German, and he can barely figure out tenses in German. He doesn't have a lot of motivation in learning German. Other than listening to German pop songs, he does nothing more than his leisure time to learn about German. And the third scenario is Eva. So Eva just started to work in an American-based PR company in China, in Beijing. She hasn't used English since last big test in her high school, but now she's determined to relearn English to gain more opportunities in this workplace. She has a very busy schedule, so she decided to start by memorizing 30 words each day and watch American movies every other day. So, who do you think, like, let's say in 3 years, keeping up this schedule, who do you think will gain the most progress in this foreign language?
I would say it's a kid actually.
The kid.
Yeah,
Maybe.
because the same. I'm not very motivated on learning this language. Naturally, it's just I'm a lazy person. But I was put into the environment, which in the beginning of my freshman year, I barely understand anything. But well, the good thing is all the people, all the Americans around me are super friendly. They knew I'm fresh off the boat, which is a word I learned from them. And they teach me a lot of stuff, and they're very patient, even if sometimes I cannot express myself like very clearly. So under that circumstances, I was kind of like forced to learn this language, to master it. And yeah, I would say I'm pretty good at it now. Not like excellent, not the master level, but I can talk to people, and we understand each other very well, which is something I cannot do before I get into this environment. About the lady who has a very organized schedule, I would say yeah, you can help. It can help a lot. It's like that's the way how we learn. And when we were not in this environment, it helps a lot, but it has its limit because you're not using it. That thing is not those knowledge you learn. It's not really getting it deep into your brain. They're just there. You have to utilize it to actually master it. Well, about the a person who learned German, it's just he don't have motivation. That's a problem,
Oh, cool.
And he's also not in the environment, so it's just hard to learn that way.
Well, you did mention that you think Amy will be the best learner in like 3 years because she had the environment.
Yes.
So basically, you think the environment is like one of the critical things in language learning.
From my point of view.
I think so as well. What about the age? Do you feel like the age matters?
Not really.
Not really. Fine. Okay. So the next question is the big question. If you had to give like one advice, because I already know your attitude, but you have to expand on that. Like if you only have to get like one advice to a new language learner, potentially to yourself, you have to learn Japanese all over again. What would that advice be?
Well, make some friends who speak that language fluently and willing to speak with you using that language. So I have this friend who I know online. He's a very big fan of Eastern culture, but he's American. And he's learning Chinese at school. He learned Japanese by himself. He's doing fine both sides. It's like, but cause like I said, he's not in the environment. He's still a little bit clumsy sometimes. So generally, he made a friend with me. He's a friend of mine apparently. So he learned Chinese from me every day. We went online playing games, and from time to time, we discuss about Chinese and everything. And he also made a Japanese friend who they talk a lot as well. He get a pretty basic understanding of both language. I would say, yeah, you just need a friend, some friends, who speak that kind of language. It will help you immensely. For me, it's the same case. I made, as I said, I made some friends here, and they helped me. You kind of like, you have to actively talk to them in that language. By the way, you cannot be passive. Because if you
So you want to actively to talk to them, even if there's like broken language.
Yes, because it helps you. If they know your language is broken, sometimes they just if they understand what you're talking about, they will just ignore your grammar mistakes and everything. But if they don't, they will ask, and that's an opportunity of improvement. I would say that's an opportunity of improving yourself. Yeah.
So I'm curious. So for your case, understanding what we just talked about, you gain great progress since you've been to college because you make a bunch of American friends and you get to utilize your language ability every day with them. So how would you explain cases like, for example, like me?
What do you mean?
Not like you, I wasn't like making a bunch of friends in the US. As you can see, I pretty much stuck in my circle.
Okay.
Do you feel like that my English level has been jeopardized by this?
No, really. It
No.
depends on the person, I would say. Like for me, because I'm pretty lazy, I don't want to do the active study and everything. Hanging out with my friends is something I would enjoy. Yeah, that's a point. You gotta do something you enjoy actually. If you don't have the motivation. So yeah.
But then you said, motivation is not that matters a lot.
No, man.
The environment matters a lot.
Yeah, I have a teacher who told me a tale about a bunch of Chinese. So there's two Chinese students who just they're also fresh off the boat and they barely know any English apparently, and they went to the Chinatown. They study in Chinatown for like every day. Like they try really hard to learn English, and they stay there for 7 years, but they still cannot talk to any foreigners Americans who speaks English because they don't actually talk. It's like they practice in their brain every day, but still that's not real talking. And when you're doing real talking, they're either too nervous to speak or they just don't have that knowledge, and which makes things worse because they will be more nervous and everything. It's a dead circle. So I would say environment. Yeah, motivation is not that important still. What's your question again?
My question is, in the case like me, from my perspective, you came to American and then you got a great boost in this language skill because you had a lot of American friends and you get to practice with them a lot. So for me, I never make it to let's say the core circle of an American, inside a bunch of American friends. You get that, right?
Yeah.
So in my case, since you don't feel that my English is jeopardized, or you don't feel that my English ability is not like that good, I'm doing fine. I would say I'm doing fine. I know in my when I speak, I have some grammatical mistakes a lot of times, and I can get stuck in my own speech, but still I manage to articulate pretty smoothly most of the time. So what would you explain that case? What's the let's say the success factor in my case?
Yeah, but still, you're in this environment. You're facing this kind of the language as an input. Like you see them every day. Like the input into your brain. You're like your ears, your eyes. You're in this environment. You cannot avoid it. It's like even if you are not consciously know that you are doing the learning, you're actually doing the learning. It's like watching YouTube videos, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As long as you're here, you have to do some talking, and you have to do, even if you don't do the talking, you just listen. Don't have to actively listen, just overhear something. It helps you. Yeah.
Even passively learn, being in an environment helped a lot.
Yes, that's from my point of view. As I said, as the example I told you, the two Chinese students who stuck in the Chinatown and cannot speak English. They are not in the environment. They live in Chinatown. Everybody speaks Chinese, and their input, their daily input are just Chinese. There's no English,
going on and off.
Yeah, they study English, but that's not a very active learning.
It's not a real life thing.
Yeah, it's not a real life thing. Yeah,
it's not a real life situation. I see what you're talking about. Yes. So environment is so. All right. So conclusion: environment is the most important factors in language learning. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you today.